Hey guys, Young Superintendent here. Just going around to the few jobs that I have here at this business park. Currently running 4 jobs right now, which is pretty awesome. We have one that's between 15 to 20,000 square feet, and then another one that's at about 10,000 square feet, and then the other 2 range between 2 to 3,000 square feet. The two that are 2 to 3,000 square feet are very minimal. Couple walls, doing a server room, demising a space. The 10,000 square foot project, basically kind of revamping the space. This tenant had been in the space for basically 20 years and they wanted to refresh it. So we're doing new carpet, new break room, and then for their conference rooms, we took the walls out and we're basically doing a framed glazing system in there so that they can, have it more open. And then my 15 to 20,000 square foot project, which I know that's kind of a big range, but I can't slightly remember the actual number. I know it's not over 20,000, but that one we're doing basically a tenant that's on the second floor is wanting to increase their square footage because they're growing a ton, and so they want to move to the first floor, which is basically the whole first floor. And so we're doing multiple conference rooms, huddle rooms, private offices, boardroom, and then there are 2 existing break rooms in there, and then we'll be adding a mother's room and whatnot. So follow me within this video and I'll kind of give you a tour of the projects that I'm on and kind of go over some of the challenges that we faced and kind of how I am traversing those challenges and coming up with cost-effective solutions in a timely manner. So here we're in the space where the tenant had been here for a super long time and it was really time for an upgrade. So they changed the layout on a few things, whereas like this break room used to be a lot smaller and there was like a storage closet and then a private office. And then this space right here is actually open. So now this is gonna be a storage room, a big open break room. We're gonna have some really beautiful millwork going throughout here, under cabinet lighting. We have water outlets up above for water dispenser, coffee maker. And it's gonna look really nice. And I'll show you an example of in one of the other spaces of what we're expecting to do here as well. But really awesome space that this is gonna make for the existing tenant. So one of the challenges that I've had on this project, which in all honesty, wasn't much of a challenge, is just kind of change the sequencing of how I phase out this project. But all throughout the space, they wanted to keep their furniture. They did not want to hire movers to move their furniture out for us to do our work. And then hire them to come back and reinstall it. So you'll see throughout, there will be areas where we have their furniture and the existing carpet. And literally every single room, you'll see that. And so what did I have to do? Well, now I have to phase demo. So for example, every time we demo out carpet, especially when it's this roll-on carpet, there's this glue. Obviously, this glue's been here for a super long time. We scrape our floors after we demo carpet. So I had to phase that. So we had the first phase where basically was the majority of the demo for this project. And then we're gonna have a phase 2 where my flooring vendor will come out, bring the flooring up to as far as they can. And then after they're done with that, I'll have my demo crew come out, take out the before we get there, flooring comes out, furniture movers come out, and they just move the carpet. So the way that I have to phase this is with flooring vendor comes out, installs as much carpet as they can to up to a certain point, they stop, furniture movers come out, and they move the furniture onto the new carpet. Once that's all said and done, demo team comes out, demos the carpet that had the previously placed furniture. They demo that out, scrape the floors, and then once that's done, then my flooring guys can come back out, put in the remaining carpet, put base everywhere, and then basically we are ready for final placement of furniture. When you do TIs like this, where it's like, get in, get out, and, have a great product, requires us to deal with certain situations like this where, like, hey, we want to keep all of our furniture in here. How can you work around that? And how can you, again, also protect our furniture, don't damage it, and then still get your work done in a timely manner and not throw a ton of remobilization costs for your guys having to come out and, phase their work. So it's something that you kind of always have to deal with when it comes to, doing these smaller projects versus some of these bigger new builds that you would generally do, depending on, where you are at in your career. So I'm in one of the vacant suites that belongs to this property manager, and this is kind of the idea of the basically a concept of the millwork that we're going to be putting in. Obviously, later on I'll show you what we got going on, but you see the refrigerator is basically flush with the face of all of the cabinets, and in order to accommodate for that, we had to fur the wall out twice. One, to fur out so that we didn't have to do any connections or penetrations to the fire-rated wall that was right behind our break room area, because there, right behind that, is the elevator shaft, and so we didn't want to have to, penetrate or have to, touch any of that. And then we furred it out again. One, not only to accommodate for the depth of the refrigerator, but to also have a space to run all of our new plumbing. And it was basically just tying into the existing plumbing and running it to the new locations for the refrigerator and for the sink and dishwasher. And we will be using the same tile as well. And as you can see right here, we have that under cabinet lighting. We're going for the same finish. We're using same sink, faucet. The property manager that we do a lot of work with here, they have standards, and which makes it great, makes it easy to work with them because you know what to expect when you come on a project. You know the certain vendors to work with, who has the best lead times, and it just makes it super easy. You know what you're getting into. You could basically have a template prepared for every project that you start with them when it comes to submittals. When it comes to how you sequence the work, any building regulations or rules that you need to follow, working with the building engineer, it really makes it an awesome environment to work in when you have a great relationship with a property manager that likes working with you, and you've set a standard with them. Hey everyone, so this is the bigger of the 3 projects that I'm currently doing right now here in Milpitas. This is I looked at the drawings because I was saying like 15 to 20,000 square feet. It's 30,000 square feet. So a little bit bigger job than what I was thinking. Apparently I'm not good at gauging square footage. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, so this is our project. We have box headers throughout, and because there's a lot of areas where we have a lot of existing overhead conflicts that wouldn't allow us to just do like an inverted stud and kick out soffit. So for example, if you see up here, we have all these big conduit runs. This is all new ductwork that we have going through feeding the new office spaces. But this used to be an open area, and there was just all these big 3-inch conduit runs. And so this is what we came up with to build out the full height wall fronts for all these offices. And there is a ton of offices in this space, as you can see, just all the way down. Over here we have some conference rooms and then some more office spaces, more offices down there. and then more offices over there. And then we have this existing break room. So let's take a little walk. This project will last us till about June, beginning of June, and this is just due to schedule delays with getting the permit, and then also there are some client items that we're getting delayed on. One of the most important things that we have been needing is a furniture layout plan. Sometimes you may think that's something that really isn't that important, but in the grand scheme of finishing out a project, it's super important, because with the furniture layout plan, we get an idea of what are their power requirements, where do we need to bring power to them, and then also how much data do they need for the furniture that is getting installed. And this is all information that we need, because let's say we just assume like, okay, they just want one drop per cubicle. And so then we'll provide a 1.5-inch conduit for a cluster of 6 cubicles. And then we come to find out like, oh no, we needed 2 drops per cubicle. Well, now we undersize the conduit for their data drops, and that just is a bunch of work that needs to get ripped out. And so really important for us to know. So we've been waiting on that. Also, with this furniture layout plan, we need to know how and where we're going to be bringing their power. We need to know where their base feeds are going to be going at. And so you can see we have all these columns throughout the space. And our plan is to bring conduit down these columns and then have a J-box at the bottom. And from that J-box, we can attach their furniture whips to bring power to their cubicles. And if I don't have an approved furniture layout plan, then the furniture install gets delayed, which then means my electrical install gets delayed, which then means that my architectural fire final gets delayed as well, because the fire marshal, when he or she walks through the space, needs to make sure that our paths of egress have no obstructions. And so that's, again, another important reason why we need this layout plan, so that once we get to a certain point where all this furniture gets installed, we will be able to know, okay, we need to move the cubicles more this way or that way, so that we can have our clearances. So very important stuff when you're going through a TI versus a market ready. So we had Magnum drywall on this project. First job that Acor has done with Magnum, and honestly, it was a huge success. Well, we haven't had our framing inspection yet, so we'll find out on the framing inspection. But check out these king studs right here. These are basically like tube steel. I want to say these are 88 gauge king studs. Literally, for this opening, I think this is a 16-foot opening. I'm not good at gauging square footage, so I don't know if I'm good at gauging lineal footage either. But I believe this is a 16-foot opening. Per 16-foot opening, we really only needed to provide 68 gauge studs. And then we also only needed to do a 10-inch box header. And I believe they went with a 12-inch box header. So basically for all of our different openings, you see that big box header right there, they upsized just to make sure that we basically gave peace of mind to whoever was going to be inspecting this. So they couldn't say like, oh, well, I'm not too sure if this stud or if this framing detail will, withstand whatever we're going to be bringing on the load coming down on the box header. And so upsized everything just so that we could show to the inspector that, hey, like, this ain't going anywhere. So a really good experience working with Magnum Drywall, so shout out to them. Their project management team has been really awesome to work with. Field team is, just a pleasure. So like, yeah, they want to do a good job and they want people to know that. And so it was really awesome experience, kind of seeing the project support that we got on a project like this. And I mean, this is a decent sized project, 30,000 square feet with more than 20 private offices and more than, I believe we're between 10 and 15 individual conference rooms, one of those being a 30-foot wide by 20-foot deep boardroom. You know, I feel like that deserves the attention that Magnum Drywall has been giving to this project. So really appreciate that. Shout out to them. When you're going through a project, it is super important to like really understand your drawings and kind of like question everything. It is not bad to question what is going on in a project. And I'll explain this little situation that we have right here with this IT closet, office, and then IT server room. So over here for the, behind this wall is gonna be the IT electrical closet, and then this was supposed to be the server room. After doing a walk with the client, well, the tenant, they said that they wanted this smaller room to be their server room where they had their server room racks and not this big room right here. So this room had called out to have a, and as you see, there's already plywood here, so this would have been a perfect spot for their server room. We were supposed to install a mini split on this wall, and then obviously running the line set going up to the rooftop, and then installing that condenser unit and all that associated work, condensate line, the whole 9 yards. So plan was to do that. They come and say, no, we don't want it in this room, we want it in the next one. And we're like, okay, fine. Let's, generate our RFI, go through that whole process. But as I was, going through the markups of generating that RFI, I had noticed that for their original location where they called out the mini split, they have the mini split. They had called out to install a new VAV out in this area to feed this room. And then if you look here at the existing, it's already being fed. So there's the return and there's supply. We opened up one of those grills, the registers, pulled it off. There's cool air being fed from this register, this wall register right here. So they would have had 3 forms of cooling going to this room. I was like, wait, that is super unnecessary. So the hope is, well, one, obviously the mini split unit is going to be going to a different room, but if we can just keep this, we're removing an additional VAV from that room. And then they also had another VAV. So like 2 whole VAVs that could be removed from scope because the as-builts weren't as correct. Engineering didn't walk this, and by engineering I mean the mechanical engineer. So there's a lot of different reasons why this was engineered that way for this space, but it was pretty crazy to see that this room, if no change was made, would have had 3 forms of cooling. It would have been the coldest room in the space. So always good to look at your drawings and really review them and ask questions. Why is this here? Why did the designer want that here? And why did they run a certain home run a certain way? Why did they place a door right here? Why? Oh, again, another thing that I wanted to bring up that was not caught in the drawings, but we made a field decision on. So I'm at one of the door openings right here. You can see we have a big, nice column right here. This is a 3080 door right here. 3 foot, 8 foot 10. And the original layout of this wall was 4 inches inwards, and we had to shift the whole wall out because it wasn't realized that there was necessarily a column right here and that there wasn't enough space. And especially if we were going to maintain the detail of maintaining the 4 inches that you get on the inside of a door once it's opened, there was no way to be able to accommodate that. So super easy change, shift the wall out, and then bam, we get to maintain that standard where we, you have that 4-inch kick, and you have enough room. So just, things to look at and kind of understand. Do a good fly spec, a good overview of the job. Start, very high level for the whole space, and then try and get as granular as you can going into each room, making sure, why is that outlet placed right there? Oh wait, there's an existing outlet right here. Can we remove that from scope and use that power? Try and find ways to save the client money and save you some time.